Our next guest is Rebecca Lewis. Tell us all about Rebecca, Dr. Granpeesheh.
Oh, it's nice that we have Rebecca. Rebecca is one of the folks, there are a few folks at CARD remaining, Shannon, who are very, very active still in actual clinical provision of clinical treatment, right? Because a lot of the folks that we're honoring have moved into different positions. For instance, Denise, who is now providing training or mentorship, and others who come later today and tomorrow as well. But with Rebecca, she is one of the people who has spent 20 years actually on the field working with kids. She has a lot more years with direct contact than any of us. And so I think that just hones your skills and makes you a much better therapist, clinician as a whole. There was another person in the group who I really wanted to bring on as well, two other people actually, but they're camera shy and they didn't want to come on, but they were also folks who have been kind of very actively engaged with the kids as assistant supervisors or that type of direct contact position. And so Rebecca is someone that, I think is a fantastic clinician. She knows. I have selected her in previous years to take care of some of the families who I'm very close to and care a lot about. And I think to this day, she's one of the few people who really, really has the ability to listen to families very, very well and adjust her style and kind of take care of every level of functioning child. So I'm real excited to bring her on and honor her.
I am not seeing her though. I don't know if she's not here, if she's running late, or but I'm not seeing her. So we actually have a minute until she's here to continue to talk about her and about these amazing people in the field. I can't imagine. You started to say, you said she's been working on the field, and I thought you were going to say on the carpet, because so many of our therapists, it's not the whole time in sessions, but they have a lot of times, especially with the younger kids, they have to be willing to get on the floor.
That's right.
And that's a young person's game usually, but not always. And I find that a lot of people, as they move up, it's part of it is motivated. What I see anyway, and I'd love to get your opinion on it, is that they want to be able to help more kiddos. That when you're on the carpet with a kiddo, you're one-to-one with them, and that is a very special relationship. But if you then can teach it to another person, then you can be mentoring 4 people at a time on the carpet with those kiddos. And then if you can, is that the thing? Is that what motivates you guys?
That is very true. But here's another interesting perspective, or the way that I look at it. So we all kind of start out doing therapy, right? I mean, I did therapy at UCLA for years. And you love the therapy that you're doing, but at the same time, it's exhausting. It's very exhausting. Like if you are an active participant and you are rewarding the child and managing the child and running after the child and different children and so on, you get exhausted. And you also have kind of your own life trajectory, I guess, which is sort of, for me, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to apply to grad school and I'm going to get my master's and I'm going to get my doctorate. And yes, I love this field, and I'm going to stay in this field. But at the same time, I kind of, you move from being a direct provider of individual care to a supervisor, and then maybe a mentor, a trainer, a whatever it is, right? You move and you give up that position that you had, which was direct interaction. Now, some people, and they like one of the ones who decided not to come on, but I want to honor her anyway, Jennifer Parks. Some people just stay therapists, remain as a therapist for 20 years. that is, I think, a whole different level of dedication. That's a whole different level of love, because you basically decide that you love this particular thing so much that you don't care about the other stuff. You don't want to get your education or higher pay or move up in your career. None of that matters. You just want to be doing this, because that momentary direct interaction is so reinforcing, right? And I will say Rebecca is one of those people, because she's not a BCBA, she's not a supervisor, she's an assistant supervisor at CARD, but she's spectacular. She honestly, I would say, does the job of both supervisors and therapists, and she can go back and forth as fast as she wants to, and she can manage all of those things. And having worked with lots and lots of different kiddos, she's learned also a lot about kind of the medical side, the dietary side. So she's a very, very good clinician, and I really, really respect her dedication to the field.
Amazing. And perhaps she's been held up doing therapy. We don't know. We'll maybe see her later. But we do have waiting in the wings our next guest, who I've heard you say wonderful things about, Lisa Bancroft. So tell us a little bit about Lisa.
Oh, where do I begin? So Lisa, oh, I love Lisa so much. I have brought Lisa onto some of my toughest cases, and she has charmed the families and taken over and then helped their kids. Because, you know, Shannon, one of the most important things with our kids is that we have to develop a relationship with the family to the extent that they will actually do what we ask of them to do, right? Often it's harder for the parents than it is for the child. And I would say one of the things that I admire the most about Lisa, not only does she have a very, very wonderful, detailed, excellent understanding of ABA, but she is also probably one of the best listeners when it comes to parents and interacting with families. And I can tell you, some of the families that Lisa has taken care of were not easy. They were not easy, and they had a lot of different issues going on, both with their child and with their own lives. And I can tell you honestly that Lisa was able to manage and help the family system as a whole, and give the family back hope and show them how to take every day and every step one you know, gradually, and to appreciate. And she has made immense strides with some of our kids, just because she is able to think outside the box and in the problem solving of their therapy, and also because she actually does have also a very, very good understanding of medical issues, particularly dietary issues, and she has helped a lot of kids in that way as well. Let's bring her on.
Yeah, let's get her in here so she can be thanked up and down. There's Lisa.
Hi, everybody. Wow, who are you talking about? No.
You.
I'm listening to that.
Well, thank you.
Oh my gosh. It's such a pleasure to have you here. I don't know that, Shannon, I don't think you've met Lisa. Have you met before?
Yes, we have, like on some of the retreats. Not long enough, that is true.
Yes. But I hear such great things about you always. And
thank you.
Many people say great things about you, Lisa, but of course, Dr. Granpeesheh says nice things about you behind your back. You should know that.
I'm indebted to you. I'm indebted to you for the number of patients you've taken that I've kind of begged you, Lisa, can you please fit this in? And you've always
I have to say, I always enjoy those calls because I love taking the challenge and it's fun. I like Doreen was mentioning, I enjoy getting in there with the parents and really working through some of their extremely dark days and trials and tribulations that they're having, you know, in their family with their children. But I enjoy it immensely. I loved being there for the parents, being there for the children, being there for the staff, and supporting everybody as one united. So it's really fun. It's fun.
But that just speaks to me about confidence, because I think the reason why you enjoy those sticky things is that you have the confidence that you can navigate them out of it. And that's what I hear about you, that you are so good at going in and helping people that, you know, to understand what they need to do to be partners with you to help their child to make progress. That's a big deal, Lisa.
Huge.
I think there's a lot of pieces, like Doreen said, you know, first, you know, I'm a mom like you guys, and I have 3 teenagers, and I have 2 children that had epilepsy. So I've seen the medical side of things as well. And like Doreen said, some of the dietary and a lot of different things have happened in my own family. So, you know, even prior to that happening, I was still, I think, able to effectively help some of, you know, the families. But it's just, you know, bonding with these people and really helping the family see different ways of being. And if one way doesn't work, it's okay. We're going to try another, and letting them know there's not ever going to be that block. Like if we come up with a plan and it doesn't work, we're going to do another. And if that doesn't work, don't worry. We're going to figure out another, and always giving them the hope that things are going to continue to get better. And really it's small steps, but small steps lead to, you know, a ginormous leap, you know, over time. And it's one of the things that I talk to about my family members when I first, you know, meet them, that we're like kind of a married couple together now. we're gonna be bonded, and we have to trust each other. It's huge, and you're not gonna like everything I say, and but we're gonna have to work. We still have to be respectful with each other and try our best. And I'm not gonna make you do something that you're gonna fail at. Like if you say I can't do that, then I'm going to switch up my, you know, thought process and problem solve and figure out, well, what can you do? What can we do that's going to make it better and help your, you know, family system work better? Because that's a big block that I see with the parents where, you know, a supervisor might say, do this, but in reality, the family saying, okay, I will do that, but then they really can't execute it, right? When we're not there. And so recognizing that is a major feat, because if you talk to them and you say, okay, tell me how you did it while I was gone, and they can't really give a logical answer, you know, we've missed the spot. And I haven't, maybe, you know, it's too much for them or whatever it may be. So we have to just readjust, replan, re-problem solve, and get to a spot where they can do what we are talking about.
See what I mean, Shannon?
I do. I want to wait.
I mean, I don't even have to explain why she's so good.
Oh.
You know, I'll tell you, no, honestly, Shannon and I talk about, without any, with no disrespect, but we refer to our brand new BCBAs as our baby BCBAs, right? And the difference is not just in the technical content. It's not just the knowledge of the technical content. It's not even in the years of experience with direct interaction with the kids. It's not. It's all of that, plus it's all the things you learn over the course of 20 somewhat years. And also just like having the ability to be a true clinician, which is really everything you just talked about and you said. These are the traits of an incredible clinician. And I admire you for that.
It's hard. It's a hard balance, because, you know, you're looking at skills, you're looking at Q&A, you're looking at, you know, reports, and you're looking at insurance stuff, and you've got all this stuff in your balance. And then you're trying to help staff that are having crisis, family having crisis, children that are, their behaviors are spiking, and you're trying to fix it all. So it gets tricky and sticky. But you have to do it. You have to persevere through and figure out what comes first, what's most important, and just go straight down the order and get it all handled and managed. So
we have not heard your card origin story. How did you come here?
It's kind of a fun one. Well, Renat has the same one as me. So I don't know if you guys have spoken to Renat Madelon,
yet.
but okay, so I'll tell it first. So I was at UCI. I had already worked in a preschool. I had worked in a school called Mardan for kids that couldn't necessarily be in the school district, had special needs, not on the autism spectrum, but schizophrenic that can't be diagnosed with schizophrenic, and super ADHD, and children that had been sexually abused, those type of children. And I thoroughly enjoyed working with that population of children. I'd always been attracted to that. Loved the work so much. Meanwhile, I was at UCI, and in Orange County, there was not a CARD site, because this was in like 1994, 1995. Yeah. And Doreen had sent Kathy Thompson down to UCI. They had started a pilot program with some families, the professors of UCI that had children on the spectrum. And I was one of the first people that Kathy Thompson trained. And that was it. I stuck with CARD forever. I started with a family, and we, started working out of the homes with many families in the Irvine, Tustin area. And then hired into CARD. And then the Irvine office opened, which doesn't exist anymore. So that's how I started with CARD. So it was really in 94, 95.
Yeah, and I want to say that it was, how that came about, Shannon. And of course, some of our viewers might know a very amazing attorney who worked out in Orange County, Maureen Graves. And she was very responsible for a lot of families in Orange County getting funding back in the early 90s. And she was advocating for them, and also even, going to hearings and helping them get funding. Because in those days, if you remember, it was only school district mainly.
IEP, yep, school district.
And some regional center funding, which was limited. But Maureen was very involved, and it was actually Maureen's husband who was the professor at UCI. And they then set up this course and talked to me about whether or not we could, and I was very interested in doing something and teaching, having courses, because this was the model we had at UCLA, where we had courses, and the first course that was a didactic version would then lead into practicum. And that's exactly what we did. And it was a fabulous, very successful program, I would say. We actually, several of our wonderful, the training they got, I think, was by far the best training we've ever given in the entire history of CARD. It was an amazing training.
I would have to agree. It was, and it was Kathy Thompson too. Yeah. She was out there with her hours, hand training us, 2 at a time. Renat and I would sit there, and Kathy would literally, it was all hands on. And so she just shaped us to perfection. And we knew what we were doing in our sleep. It was just, like clockwork. And, also during that, Doreen, which was very fun during that time, there was a lot of programming that was being developed as well. So it was fun being part of that. We could be in a clinic, and we could be developing something that's now active in skills. So it was very fun. And I've always loved that side of it too. Being able to have the confidence to be like, well, I don't like that, so I'm going to do this because this is what my client needs, and just make up my own program and pop it in for them, because that's exactly what they need. And that's fun, because I was trained to be flexible like that, and trained to just think on the fly and create something if it wasn't there that was needed. So,
and also, this is way before the field of behavior analysis really existed, right? ABA per se did not exist. This was before the BCBA credential existed. We all I was trained in behavior modification at UCLA, right? And I was then passing on this training to Kathy and all of the folks who worked in the 90s. and it was not called ABA, and we did not use a lot of the techniques that are being used now. They had not been developed yet. And so, as Lisa's pointing out, we were really developing a lot of the lessons then. We were writing, you know, someone would come and say, oh, you know what, I realized this child does not have the ability to talk about something from the past. Oh, let's write a lesson where we can give him visual cues so he can remember what happened in school that day. You know, those types of things. And then we would write these lessons, as Lisa said, and then we would spend retreats kind of putting them in order and figuring out what goes before what and how, what's the order of things and how do I work.
Exactly.
All the forms, all the development, all the parent training, all the training for our staff, all of that stuff was being written up during these years by Lisa and Kathy and Renat and all these folks.
It was vital. It was vital to what was the pulse of what was happening at that time. I mean, you know, there were so few children diagnosed at that time compared to what we see nowadays. And it was just beginning to flourish. So it was so necessary. And like you said, every child was so different. They'd come in and have their own things that we would need to teach and their own deficits and their little holes here and there. And it's been a fun ride. So
it has been a wonderful, and I want to thank you for being there the whole path, and like every single thing that you've contributed to the field as a whole, Lisa. I mean, you've recovered a lot of kids. You have held a lot of families together and helped their children get to the highest points they possibly could. You've contributed in many more ways than I can imagine, in training people, in writing policies for us, in teaching and mentoring, in modeling, and also I just love you.
Oh, thank you.
Before the show, I was telling Shannon was like, I don't know if I've met Lisa, and I was like, she's one of our best clinicians. But really, I admire you. I think so highly of you. I'm so glad to have you in my life, and I think that you're just brilliant, a brilliant star, and I'm very lucky that you came to CARD and that we ended up. Our lives ended up joining. So I want to thank you on behalf of CARD and myself. Love you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you too. And once I saw her face, I was like, oh, of course. But I'm getting old, and faces and names.
There's a lot of us
everybody
now,
talks
Shannon.
about you. Everybody talks about you all the time, Lisa. About
thanks.
You know. So when I hear the name Lisa Bancroft, I just know, like, you know, the top of the top.
Yeah.
But now I can put the face and the name together, and now it all makes sense to me. But I would like more time with you, because I think you're just, the things that you've said are the things that we all need to hear. I think parents, caregivers, hearing how you're talking about if something doesn't work, we'll try something else. And that it's not our fault if we can't do something. It's just such a compassionate way of being.
Shannon, Lisa would be a great guest for the PTA.
Yes, there'll be a call in your future, madam.
One more request.
Always gifting me more jobs. Yeah.
That's right. Because you're not doing enough. 20 plus years, not enough. That's right. We'll press you into more service. Lisa, you're amazing. And thank you on behalf of all of your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. To subscribe, click
here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.